I love cars, but I buy them to have fun. For investments like my pension, I put money into stocks and shares, but I haven't made a huge mistake. Could I have got an even better return if I put all my money into cars? I bloody hope not. I've discovered a cool way that anyone can invest in modern classics and performance cars for way less than you'd think. Today I'm going to find out which cars are the biggest winners and losers from an investment point of view. I'll also find out if any of them can beat the rate I'm getting from my pension. And then I'll pick my dream investment car from this huge collection. And I'll also uncover a load of cheap modern classics that are expected to go up in value over the next few years. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow. Now, before we check out the cars, it's important to note that I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't investment advice. Your money might be at risk whenever you invest, so do your research and speak to a qualified professional before making any investment decisions. So this is David. David is the CEO of the Car Crowd. Yep. Now, David, investing in cars is quite simple. Most people think they can do it, and you've done it yourself here with this Citroën Saxo.
I have, yeah.
How much did you pay for this?
500 quid this was.
And how much could you sell it for as it is right now?
Well, I've been offered about £2,000 already for it. We've kept it for about 2.5 years now, and it's just gone up that much over this time in the condition it's in, which is not perfect.
So that is a 400% increase in value, which is great. That's what people want to do.
Yeah.
However, while it's 400% is a massive gain, we're talking 1,500 quid.
Yeah, it's not going to change my life. No, that's true.
And what people really want to do, they want to move across. That's where you make money. Cars like this. So how much was this?
This was in there, sort of the high around 90k-ish mark, so just under the 100k mark.
And what's it worth now?
Probably 125, 130, something like that, right. So only a 25% return, but £25,000 as opposed to just £1,500.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a problem. Most people can't afford to invest 90 grand into a classic car.
And this is where companies like the Car Crowd come in. They source cars like this Ferrari 550, which they predict will go up in value, and they sell individual shares in that car to groups of investors. So you could potentially invest in a classic Ferrari for about the same money that David spent on buying his old Citroën. So you have a whole bunch of cars, and each car can have a certain number of people investing in it.
Correct, yeah.
So for this one, how many people are invested in this?
This one will be around about 45 people.
So how much a go then?
So at this time we were doing this car, it was around just between £500 and £1,000 a share.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because there's no limit in the world of car investing. And later on in this video, I'll reveal how it's possible to put your money into some of the rarest, most exclusive cars ever made, including a Ferrari F40.
However, I'll also discover that finding the right car isn't easy, because even an F40 could be hiding dark secrets that their owners don't know about.
Let's wind back a bit and go back to cars such as this Saxo.
Mm-hmm. Something like a 205 GTI poster car or something.
Those
even
kind
more,
of things.
Yeah.
So let's start off looking at those kind of cars. When we're talking about hot hatches,
yes,
which are known to go up in value, 205 GTI, everyone online is talking about these things.
Yeah. Last decade, they've gone from being the car that was underappreciated, no one really likes, maybe a few £100s even you could buy them for, to now being tens of thousands, even world record prices around 40,000 euros.
They're lovely as well. Let's have a look inside. The seats are so good.
It's so retro, isn't it?
I love. I just move this out of the way and just have a little sitting, because I love the feel of them.
Figure hugging as well, which is nice.
Oh, they hold your body so nice, and like the red floor mats and everything. Yeah, it is so cool.
That is a completely unrestored car as well. This is a one-lady owner car.
24,000 miles.
I know. I mean, and unrestored 24 original miles, full history.
I haven't broken it. I've broken the seat. Right. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about that. Yeah, it's lovely condition, isn't it?
It's amazing, yeah. I think it's probably one of the best in the country. Mid-20s is where we'd value it at the moment.
So what's the percent increase on this one then?
Roughly about 35 to 40%.
Whoa!
Yeah, over the course of 2 or 3 years. So, it is an annualised return of kind of in the 10% to 12% range.
Now, when I was a kid, we almost bought one of these. My mum was the one who had all the cool cars. My dad didn't. She almost had one of these, but it was a little bit more expensive than the next car, which we actually owned. I passed my test in Mini Metro, and within a month I wrote it off, which meant I got to drive one of these, an XR2i, in this exact same spec. I remember this weird, like, velour interior.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Oh, I've got to sit in these seats again.
I mean, this is another complete time
Wait a
walk
minute.
car.
These seats are better than the ones that we had in our car.
Yeah, so interestingly, Recaros came out with the RS Turbo came out.
Yep.
And a lot of people then retrofitted the Recaros. Now, this was done by Jennings Ford. We've got a receipt for it. And we've got the original non-Recaro seats that were with this car wrapped in plastic in the unit.
But what's happened to the value of these?
These have nearly doubled. We bought it really well, about 12 grand. It's probably now close to 25. I mean, we've been offered 20 for it at our show recently, but we think it's still got room to grow, to be honest, as well.
100% return?
Probably, yeah.
Over what period?
Just 2.5 years.
What?
Yeah. It's been a really, really high-performing asset, the XR2i, for sure.
However, not all hot hatches are sound investments. David showed me this Mini Cooper S, which hasn't performed so well. And that surprised me, because this is a great little car. It's the rarer John Cooper Works version with the upgraded supercharger.
So what did you buy this car for?
So we bought this one just under 10,000, and now probably around 13 to 14.
Okay, so what annualised return on this?
Annualised return's probably going to be just sub 10.
So that's not quite as good as the other two hot hatches, but still a decent return. And this got me wondering, how does David decide what cars to buy? Well, he told me it's not all about mint low mileage examples. He also uses an algorithm that ranks cars by popularity, historical significance, and whether they're actually any good to drive. And this can pick out surprising cars with untapped investment potential, such as these, which all have genuine motorsport connections. In fact, one of them is my personal favourite front-wheel drive car of all time.
Renault R26R. Now, I went on the launch of the Mark II Focus RS and I thought this was a brilliant car, amazing engine. I was driving it en route Napoleon in the south of France. It was amazing, and I was convinced it was the best hot hatch ever. Then I got back to the UK, got my hands on one of these and twin tested it with the Ford, and I was just like, the Ford's rubbish. I mean, look at the tyres.
Yeah,
these are the original tyres.
Yeah, they are the original tyres. You can tell.
Look at
you
that.
can see.
Look at that. You can see that this is a proper track-focused car.
Yeah.
Then you look inside. It didn't have like a normal seatbelt. Normally you have a harness and seatbelts. This just had the harness.
Just had the harnesses, yeah.
You know, you get to the glove box or anything like that. I mean, insane car. Feels like you're driving a touring car.
Titanium exhaust. You've got
the titanium. It sounds good.
You've got the polycarbonate windows.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That is thinner than on a GT3 RS. It's just plastic.
Unbelievable. Carbon fibre bonnet, obviously, as well, and carbon fibre racing seats, fixed harnesses, like you say, roll cages standard. The thing is literally built for the track, and that's why it went past around the Nürburgring, 8 minutes 17.
But that's not the only reason why this Mégane could be a good investment. It's also super rare. Renault originally wanted to build 250, but actually only ended up making 230. Years ago, I almost bought one of these, second-hand, directly from Renault's press fleet. They wanted around £17,000 for it, but at the last minute, I bottled it. So I decided to ask David how much money I could have made if I'd been a bit braver. And he said that a decent car is now worth between £35,000 and £60,000. Looks like I screwed up a little bit there. But how much is this particular car worth?
This one, I think, sits in the mid-range of that. I would say, you know, we'd market it somewhere in the 40s now.
Annualised return then?
About 30, 35%.
Wow.
Yeah.
But these cars aren't really worth anything until the moment you come to sell them. They're basically massive paperweights on wheels. So I asked David to show me an example of a car he recently sold, and crucially, one that made the investors a good profit. And he picked this Clio V6.
I love these. They're not great to drive, but they're just the concept of them.
I think they're scary to drive.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be on your toes driving them for sure. And we got an offer actually after a Cars and Coffee on the Clio V6. One of the people who came to the Cars and Coffee said, I love that car, I've been looking for a while, it's a great spec, can I buy it off you? He gave us an offer, we put it to the shareholders, they said yes, and we sold the car.
So what return did they make on that?
Annualised 38%.
So how long did they hold the car for?
That was only just about a year. It was pretty quick. Yeah, we bought it well, and it went up in value from sort of mid-20s to mid-30s within just a space of about 9 to 10 months.
But not every car explodes in value like these, and it's not because the car is worse or less significant. It's all to do with when you buy and when you sell. As David found out when he bought one of the most iconic rally cars of the 1990s, a Ford Escort Cosworth.
I grew up with the kind of Mark IV Escorts, and the shape of it was lovely, and you saw them in the
These
WRC.
seats as well.
Gwyndaf Evans and those guys driving them, and the Repsol one was the one I had as a toy. And this is a Lux model, big turbo, so it ticks all the boxes in mallard green, very rare colour, in immaculate condition. It's one of those cars where we bought it and we paid good money for it. I think that's the thing, and on the curve it already.
When did you buy it?
We only bought it 2 and a bit years ago.
So what did you pay?
We paid somewhere around the 60k mark for it, and it's probably now worth around the 70k mark.
So what's that annualised return?
About 5-6%.
Okay, so safe,
Safe,
but not
steady.
particularly exciting.
But if David had found this car 3 or 4 years ago, they could have picked it up for about £35,000 to £40,000, which means the investors would have almost doubled their money by now. But hindsight is a wonderful thing in the world of investing, and timing isn't the only factor to consider when you're investing in cars.
When you're like going to buy these cars, so you've decided, oh, we want one of these. Obviously, you can do like a vehicle history check.
Yes.
Like I can go on Car Vertical.
Yep, you
I
can.
can put in like registration of a car, find out if it's got like outstanding finance, whether it's been crashed, whether it's been written off, whether it's had previous damage or mileage rollback, all that kind of stuff.
And here's an example of a Mini Cooper JCW on Car Vertical. It's just like the one David showed me earlier, and it's coming back clean for damage, finance and mileage. So if you fancy yourself a bit of a cheap hot hatch action, this could be a good car to buy. However, you never know what you're going to get with a used car, and here's a Car Vertical report on a Mini Cooper S, which has a dodgy past. As you can see from the report, it was previously damaged. If you saw this car for sale and there was no mention of damage, you might not have known the truth without a car history check. So if you're looking to buy a used car, I recommend using Car Vertical. And make sure you use the code CARWOW for up to 20% off.
But what other things do you do? What extra layers do you put on top of it for your research?
Yeah, we've been using a lot of AI recently in order to try and trawl a lot more sources of data.
I immediately thought about checking salvage auctions, but David explained his AI can do a lot more than that. It can even check posts and videos on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook. For example, if a car was damaged and a random person took a photo and posted it online, David might be able to find it. And that's exactly what happened with this Ferrari F40, which has been in a nasty crash. This car was fully repaired, but amazingly, the current owner didn't even know about this accident. Imagine getting a call one day from someone who discovered your multi-million-pound supercar once looked like this. But finding an undamaged car is only half of the investment story. You also have to make sure it's maintained perfectly. Skip one service and it'll hurt the car's value forever. But it's not all doom and gloom, because one of the best ways to check a car is in proper running order is to drive it regularly.
And that's exactly what we're going to do now with this rather lovely E46 BMW M3. I get to start it. Cold start. 40,000 miles on the clock. This is nice.
It is.
And it's the manual. I want one of these.
Yeah, they're good cars.
Anyway, what we're going to do is take you for a little bit of a spin, just to kind of get the fluids moving.
Yeah, exactly. Just warm it up to temperature. Make sure that there's no brake binding. We just make sure you keep your hands off the wheel at one point as well to make sure there's no bias on the steering side. Just basically keeps them in good fettle.
David looks after 127 cars in total, and every single one goes through this process every 6 weeks. Driving them is basically a full-time job, but you can't go thrashing them. They're investments, remember. But you do have to test everything to spot any potential issues. It's basically like being an automotive journalist, and that's something I have a bit of experience with.
Oh, I tell you what, people want the manual of this, but it's actually not one of the best manuals, is it?
No, I think sometimes they're actually a little bit better in the auto.
Yeah, I like this in the auto because it's quite brutal,
Yeah.
the way it changes, but manuals are more engaging.
Yeah, they are more engaged to drive.
What about the cost of this? Is this, I pay my money to get into the car, isn't there
Yeah.
like a management charge? Like my pension has a management charge, it's only 0.5%.
Yeah, so we have an asset under management charge, exactly the same AUM as you would with those sorts of investments. You know, that is normally 1.5% to 2% of the value of the vehicle.
But what does that actually mean? Say I invested £5,000 in this M3. If the management fee was 2%, then I'd only pay about £100 per year. That's less than the cost of an annual service if I own the car outright myself.
And do you know what, I'm feeling like I'm getting something for my management charge, unlike with a managed fund. I know like a trader's like doing trades and stuff like that, but still that just seems like money for old rope, whereas this, you're having to take the cars out, you're having to have like a place to store them, you're having to maintain the service history of the car. I'm much happier to pay that, and especially if I can come down and maybe I could do this bit on the car that I'm invested in.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as it's still on the private road, so that's the whole key part of this, is that people feel connected to the cars. They get access to something that might otherwise be unobtainable.
Speaking of unobtainable, let's go check out something a bit more expensive. Obviously that M3 I've just driven, manual gearbox, but your algorithm has picked out one of the things that's really taking off at the moment, and it is
It's the manual gearbox with a big engine.
manual gearbox, big engine.
Big
so
engine. Yeah. Last
3
lots.
litres not quite big enough. You need, what's this, 4 litre?
Oh, yeah, 4 and a bit, 4.3 V8, yeah.
So this 430 manual,
Yep.
I remember like when I was a motoring journalist and these things came out and it was all about the F1 fast speed
Yeah,
shifting,
absolutely.
robotised manual gearbox. And so people just weren't interested in the manuals. And this one, look, it's so unusual to see it in a 430, isn't it?
And that's because almost nobody bought one. But why? Well, the flappy paddle gearbox in the Ferrari 355 was a bit rubbish. The 360 Moderna's Auto was better, but the 430's F1 automatic is actually really good, which is why 90% of customers chose it.
So how many of these in total in the UK?
We think around about 100 coupes manual.
Okay, only 100.
Right-hand drive, yeah.
Right, let's say about 5 years ago, what was something like this worth?
Somewhere in the region of the sort of 90 to 110k mark, somewhere in that region.
Whereas this car now, what's this?
135 currently being funded on the platform. Actually, the market value of it, I probably would put it higher than that, to be fair.
And I can see why. This is the last manual V8 Ferrari ever. Everything that came after this car, the 458, 488 and F8, came exclusively with automatic gearboxes. But what does that mean in terms of actual cash? How much has the value of this 430 gone up?
I think we're already around about 7 to 10% up on where we bought it.
It's not a massive gain, 7%, but you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I think they'll be doing between 10 and 15% a year. I think these cars will get somewhere close to 200k in the not too distant future because it's the last chance to own a manual V8 Ferrari.
These have just completely passed me by, but one car I have definitely been thinking about is a manual V10
Yeah.
Audi R8.
I love this car.
Yeah, I love this car. I love the gear shift. And all the motoring journalists were like, oh, you want the V8, it's a pure engine. No, I want a manual V10. Thank you very much. You're absolutely talking
Have
nonsense.
you driven one as well?
Yeah.
Joy to drive these. I think the gearbox in this is actually one of the best manual mated boxes.
I remember burning out the clutch a little bit on the launch of the car. But what a thing, what a noise it makes. No like particulate filters on the engine.
No, really, really raw.
However, for you, has this performed as well as the Ferrari or not?
Not yet. What you're looking to do is find at the bottom of the depreciation curve. But, you don't always get that exact timing right.
So where is this one then?
This is, again, at 5 to 10%.
Okay.
They're still in that range of kind of 60k mark. But there's not many V10 manuals in the UK especially. There's not many globally. And at some point, they've just got to be seeing that vast appreciation hit.
Let's move up to something a little bit more expensive,
Bit
more your top end.
Let's do it.
Mercedes AMG SLS. I've always loved this car, not as a thing to drive necessarily, it's not the sportiest car, but just to look at. The doors are just insane, the engine is amazing.
It is, yeah.
And I feel like I might
boxes.
have missed the boat, but your algorithm is saying that they still have some room to grow.
And we've been tracking the values of them for the last 3 years. They've gone, as you say, from 130-ish mark now up to 160 to 180. There's already a significant kind of 25% improvement over the last few years. I think that will continue. Whether it'll get past maybe $250,000, maybe the ceiling for them, I'm not sure, but they're never going to do another Goldwing car. If you want to rock up at a Cars and Coffee and put the doors up like that, this is the last time you're going to be able to do it in one of these.
So red is quite a brave colour. I
Yes.
love it in red. And let's just, you've got to come and have a look at this. You've got to be careful not to bash me
Don't
on the
bang
door.
your head.
The red just goes so well with this interior.
Yeah.
But I'm actually in the minority here because SLS buyers usually prefer silver or black cars. So why did David buy it? Well, it's simple. It was cheaper, and that meant the entry point for investors could be slightly lower, and he still expects the values to go up significantly over time. But as much as I like this car, I've just spotted something else that I'm even more interested in.
So David, here we have like the OG, the original GT3 RS. I love it. So these are already pretty expensive. What's the value of this one?
Around about 180 now to get into for a good one, sort of sub 25, 30,000 mile cars are about 180, even over 200k for very low mileage cars.
So what were they about 5 years ago?
So just over 100, maybe 115, 120k. They started to go up during COVID, and then they actually have just continued to climb.
And the main reason for this is America. Porsche wasn't originally allowed to sell this car in the US because of the roll cage, and that kept the values of these cars down. But as soon as the car reaches 25 years old, they actually qualify for classic import status. You can buy one and import it to the US legally, which jacks the prices right up.
Well, let's have a look at it, because this roll cage, it's a bit extreme.
It's quite extreme, yeah.
So
yeah.
I wouldn't want to drive this on the road. You can just get one with a half cage,
Half
can't you?
cage as well, yeah.
This is
the
like
full
the
cage
full. I
variant.
mean, look at all of this.
Proper scaffolding, yeah.
And it's
100%.
such a basic car. I've got a 996, but this, that gearbox feels nicer. My 354. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
And these seats as well. Oh, wow.
But the fact there's only 682 ever made. This car's actually a private client's car, so she was going to join the allocation, join the syndicate, and actually said, no, I want the whole car myself. So we went and found her a car as well.
I like the sound of that.
So we've now got 3 of them, 2 red, 1 blue.
What do you think they're going to go to?
I mean, conservatively, I'd say somewhere in the region of 280, maybe up to 300k.
But not every high-value supercar has soared in value like this Porsche. And that brings me on to something that's a bit less curry-versed and a bit more bangers and mash.
We've got a McLaren MP4-12C.
Yes.
First car that McLaren Automotive did
Yep.
on its own.
Absolutely.
The very first Porsche 911.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite expensive now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this hasn't been such a winner.
Not yet.
David bought this car a few years ago for around £80,000, and now it's worth about £85,000. So it hasn't seen huge growth, but importantly, it hasn't lost money either.
I've never opened the door on an MP4-12C. I've opened it on other McLarens, so I'm going to go under here.
Yeah. There's no door handle. I'll give you a clue.
There is no door handle.
There's no door handle. So this is obviously...
What? There is no door handle?
No door handle at all. So it's a slight design flaw, which actually they replaced
It's
quite
a massive
quickly
flaw.
after launch. So you know this is an early car because it still has what they call the sliding doors.
So that will increase the value?
It should do because it's a quirky thing.
Yeah.
However, if you're in a wet Sainsbury's car park in the middle of the afternoon, it's incredibly frustrating to try and open the door.
Oh, wait there. There's actually
there's
a
an
slide.
icon. Yeah, he's found
Okay,
the
so you
sticker.
slide like that.
There you go. Now lift. Now lift.
Now lift. I like that.
There you go. Slide and lift. So
Oh,
you can
when it's
see that-
wet, it doesn't register.
When it's wet, it doesn't register. Or if you've got slightly clammy palms, if you've just been doing some sport, it doesn't really register. They did replace it quite quickly after launch with a proper handle because people were frustrated with the fact there was no touchpad or anything. You've got a bit of a...
It did not work that time.
Yeah, it didn't
Okay,
work
here we
exactly,
go.
you see.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
You did really well to do it as quickly as you did, to be fair.
No, right.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's move on.
Because now I need to find out whether the value of David's whole collection has gone up by more than my pension. And I'll discover if it's grown faster than my investments in stocks and shares. And I'll pick my favourite car from his whole collection, which is the one I'd put my money in if I invest myself.
Okay, David, so I'm just going on my pension app here.
Okay.
And the annualised growth that I've got from that is 9.6%.
Good, decent,
Right.
yep.
It's not bad. So what is the overall average percentage growth, annualised growth,
Yeah.
for your fund?
So we're currently 12.7%. Important to say it's not a fund.
What do you mean?
Because each car is its own individual allocation effectively. So we don't manage the things on behalf of the investors like a fund manager would. You as the people who own that car, you decide whether to keep it or sell it every single year.
And the owners have been making good decisions because they're out earning my pension by over 3%. But most people don't just rely on pensions. Another really popular way to invest is with stocks and shares like the FTSE 100 and S&P 500. And if these cars have gone up in value by more than my stock market investments, I may want to consider investing in cars for myself.
So I've got some investments in the S&P 500.
Yep.
Annualised return, S&P 500, 14.7.
Okay, which is better.
Which is better. FTSE 100, which I've also invested in, index trackers, over that period, 11.7.
Okay.
So you beat the FTSE,
Beat the FTSE, not quite as good as the S&P.
but the difference is there's no capital gains tax on cars.
No.
This makes a huge difference. Capital gains is a tax you pay on investments. On stocks and shares, it's up to 24% of your profit. But cars are different. They're exempt because they're classed as wasting assets, which means they normally lose value or depreciate over time. However, some cars, like the ones I've seen today, go up in value, but they're still exempt from capital gains tax, no matter how much they're worth. So, when I count for all the charges, fees and tax on my different investments, it appears as though I could have earned approximately the same if I'd invested in cars. However, with any investment, past performance is no guarantee of future success. But if I did want to invest in one of these cars, which would I choose?
I was very interested in the SLS,
Yep.
but I think that I need to get involved in a 9063 RS.
Yeah, I think that's probably a very, very shrewd choice. I mean, obviously, for us on the platform, it's about the demand of the users and what people want. So we're bringing a Challenge Stradale next because that's what's been asked for.
Wait, so when can I invest in one of those? Because I wouldn't mind having a go.
Well, the Challenge Stradale will be live like literally this week, next week. I mean, they are serious.
Okay, do you know what? So what's the allocation for the Challenge Stradale?
We're yet to exactly know it, but it'll be around either £5,000 or £10,000 minimum investment, depending on the car that we source. And the car roughly will be around $250,000 mark.
What about something else like high end, like total high end? Because that'll be your maximum at the moment, the
Yeah, it will be the biggest
250
one.
grand in a Challenge Stradale. How about something like over $1 million?
The F40 is a poster car for many of us. It's one of those cars that's already seen growth from 800k up to 2 million-ish in the last 5 years. We think it's got room to grow maybe into 3, 4, even £5 million as the F50 gets towards 10. And therefore, we were going to look at a £2.5 million syndicate for that, where you've got 20 to 25 shares at 100 grand each.
Okay, so that's for the future. That's a bit out my price range, but I'm definitely interested in this Challenge Stradale.
But before I pick my ideal investment car, I want to dig a little deeper. Why do cars seem to be outperforming traditional stocks and shares? And what are the risks I need to be aware of, especially with super high value models? To do this, I've come to Selected Car Investment in Denmark to get the inside line from their top investment expert. SCI offers a similar investment platform to the car crowd, but on an even bigger scale. Instead of individual cars, you can invest hundreds of thousands of pounds into whole collections. But I'm not just here to talk about £1 million hypercars.
Because before I leave, I'll get the lowdown on an underappreciated classic car which could have surprising investment potential.
Klaus, my first question to you is, why do people invest in cars as well as stocks and shares? What is the point of investing in cars in particular?
First of all, I don't know anyone investing in cars that are not actually interested in cars. And cars have the quality to add some spread of risk to such a portfolio.
Cars reduce your overall risk, so they're less risky. Are you, really?
It's not like risking your money in a startup company or IT company or something where values can evaporate. The cars will always be there.
And the cars in this collection are pretty incredible.
The first car we acquired was a Lamborghini Reventon. There is a Bugatti EB110.
I've driven one of those.
Yeah, me
I actually
too.
drag raced it and it broke.
That sounds like a CV joint to me.
Oh, yeah, well, I drove ours and it didn't break. One more, or there was one. Actually, we sold off a Porsche Carrera GT.
And while they owned it, the car increased in value by around 20 to 22% each year, which is pretty astonishing. But this is just one of SCI's 3 funds. The second includes a Maserati MC12 Corsa, a Ferrari 599 GTO, and a Mercedes AMG SLS Black Series. But the third fund is even more extreme.
We have a Formula One Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's a 1983 car from the early turbo era, and we have a 550 GT1 car.
Out of all the brands then, which do you think are the strongest brands? I mean, we've talked about Ferrari a lot. Is Ferrari the best investment brand? Is that like investing in Apple or something like that?
Yeah, I would say that's that's probably the case, yeah.
This tallies with what I learned from David at the car crowd, so no wonder he's keen to source a Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale. But you know what? I'm still a die-hard Porsche fan at heart, and I can't stop thinking about the 996 GT3 RS, especially as I've driven one recently in a drag race. But what did Klaus have to say about these limited edition Porsches?
The weakest aspect of that car is that it is still a 911. It's not its own model. It's not like...
And that's for all of them. That's for any kind of 911. The problem is that it's just a version of a 911.
So it doesn't have the exotic aspect that some of the rarer special versions. Ferrari Challenge Stradale, for example, it is something a bit different, quite further away from the standard product.
But I'm not sure I'm ready to buy a car purely as an investment. I just love driving them too much, so maybe Klaus can help.
Are there any cheaper classic cars that I could buy outright, drive regularly, and hopefully not lose money on when I decide to sell them?
Well, we quite like Italian cars here in the collection and in SCI. It could be a Fiat Turbo Coupe, 5-cylinder turbo, great engine noise. You could point to a car from this company, the 2.316, the competitor to the BMW M3.
I love them. I remember racing one when I was a kid on my motorbike, and I was like, why can't I get rid of this car? And my mate was like, that's because it's not just any, it's a special Cosworth version. Yeah, really, really cool car. But Klaus has another investment car up his sleeve, which is currently flying under the radar. In fact, he owns one. He even drove it here today. And ironically, considering what he does for a living, this car is often called the poor man's Ferrari. So this is Klaus's own MR2. Now, you weren't expecting me to film this, were you?
I would have cleaned it, and yeah. But I came in this, and this is my car.
So tell me about this, because you actually haven't had it very long, have you?
I had it 2 months. I like these 80s cars that are quite of analog in the feeling, but have modern injection stuff. Engine has no histriotronics, but a manual gearbox and fun to drive. I was going to say decent performance, but I guess in your world it's barely decent.
120 odd horsepower. It's still pretty nippy, and it's a great little engine in this. One thing about this particular car, I mean, it's got a bit of patina on it, right? But there's no rust. These can rust really badly, but I've looked round it and there's no rust on it. Inside's in really good condition. So you've only had it 2 months, but you're going to sell it, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's there's one major fault with the MR2. It's not good in snow.
Yeah.
And I know also snow and Danish winter will kill the car because of the rust issues. So it will have to go before winter.
And so what kind of price are you looking at for this? What do you reckon it's going to fetch?
14,000 euro, something like that.
And what do you think, like, say, over a 5-year period, it might go up to?
I think it's difficult to say, but easily 20,000, I guess.
Well, there you go. If you want yourself a car that you can drive, a little bit of fun, fun, an antidote to like the EV and hybrids of today, and something that just reminds you of cool cars from back in the 80s. Get yourself a Mark 1 MR2, look after it, and it should do you right.